Prepare to have your mind blown. We are venturing into the most unexplored corners of Earth, the deep sea, to uncover phenomena so alien they might as well belong to another world. These are not mere curiosities, not just strange creatures or rare formations. These are anomalies that defy the rules of biology and physics, reshaping everything we thought we knew about the planet beneath us. Imagine a place where darkness is absolute, where sunlight has never touched the ground. The water here is ancient, heavy, and still. Sound travels differently, light bends strangely, and every movement feels like a secret being whispered by the earth itself. Down here, pressure is unimaginable. For every meter you descend, the weight of the world multiplies. By the time you reach the abyss, it is as if an entire mountain rests upon your shoulders. Yet in this realm where no human could survive unprotected, life thrives. Life of forms so bizarre and resilient that the line between the living and the inorganic begins to blur. For centuries we thought this region was lifeless, a silent wasteland of rock and sediment. But the deep sea is not empty. It is alive with motion and mystery. Tiny organisms flicker with bioluminescent light, painting ghostly constellations in the dark. Vast currents shift with the gravity of the moon. Minerals rise like smoke from vents, building entire landscapes beneath our awareness. The more we descend, the more the familiar world fades away. Gravity feels heavier, colors vanish, and even time seems to change its rhythm. Down here, the concept of day and night is meaningless. The deep ocean is eternal twilight. Modern exploration has changed everything. Since 2020, a new generation of robotic explorers has ventured into depths once thought unreachable. Cameras now capture the hidden terrain of our planet with clarity beyond imagination. What they reveal is not simply strange, it is unprecedented. Mountains of crystal rising from volcanic plains. Valleys carved into perfect symmetry. Vast geometric fields that seem to have been arranged, not formed. We look at these images and our minds struggle to process them. They feel constructed, deliberate, almost sentient. What kind of forces could shape matter in such ways? How can perfect lines and repeating spirals exist in a world ruled by chaos and collapse? The ocean floor is not static. It shifts, it evolves, it breathes. Yet within that motion lies an order that feels almost intentional. It is easy to forget that this world beneath us covers more than 70% of our planet. And yet we know more about distant moons than we do about our own ocean floor. Every expedition peels back another layer of mystery, revealing not answers, but deeper questions. When researchers first began mapping these regions, they expected randomness, layers of sediment, volcanic ridges, mineral deposits. But what they found instead were structures. Formations too symmetrical, too consistent to dismiss as coincidence. Patterns repeating across vast distances, mirroring one another as though following some unseen design. At first it was thought to be an illusion. But then, as high-resolution footage arrived from multiple expeditions, the truth became undeniable. The ocean floor is not merely shaped by nature. It appears to be patterned by forces we do not yet understand. Beneath the calm of the sea lies constant creation. Superheated water gushes from hydrothermal vents, depositing minerals that crystallize into intricate towers. These vents, called black smokers, are like the lungs of the earth, exhaling the planet's inner breath. Around them, life gathers, blind shrimp, tube worms, and creatures with no need for sunlight. They feed on chemicals, not plants. They transform the impossible into survival. Even here, within the chaos of volcanic energy, order emerges. Structures rise like cathedrals. Columns form in perfect hexagonal patterns. It is as if geometry itself were written into the bones of the planet. And yet, there are stranger things still, features that no scientist can yet explain. Grooves etched into the rock that run for kilometers. Circular depressions evenly spaced, like a code written on the ocean floor. Delicate spirals of stone that seem to grow outward with mathematical precision. These are not theories. They are real, recorded, and verified. And their existence remains one of the great scientific enigmas of our time. As explorers watch the footage from their remote vessels, one question echoes through their minds. What are we truly seeing? Are these patterns born from natural laws we have yet to uncover? Or are we witnessing the fingerprints of processes that transcend what we define as natural? The deeper we go, the more those distinctions dissolve. The sea no longer feels like part of our planet. It feels like another realm entirely, an alien world beneath our own. Pressure squeezes molecules into new states. Heat and cold coexist side by side, and within that impossible environment, complexity arises, beauty carved from extremes. The ocean floor becomes a living experiment, a slow dance between chemistry, physics, and time. In the dark silence of the deep, there are no landmarks, no boundaries, no orientation. Up and down are meaningless. The only constant is the pulse of the earth, the quiet rumble of tectonic movement, the distant exhalation of a vent, the soft drift of life surviving against the odds. Every expedition that descends into this abyss returns not with closure, but with wonder. The scientists who study these depths often describe a feeling they cannot name, something between fear and reverence. It is the realization that the deep ocean is not a place we simply observe. It is a place that reminds us of our ignorance. When the rove lights fade into the blackness, we are reminded that we are intruders in a realm that existed long before us. Every beam of light we cast reveals something magnificent, but it also exposes how little we truly know. What we call anomalies may simply be truths we have not yet learned to interpret. The patterns we see might be the language of geology written in motion too slow for us to perceive. The spirals, the holes, the flawless shapes. Perhaps they are Earth's own signatures, messages written in pressure and time. The ocean floor is a memory of the planet's earliest days. It is constantly reborn through volcanic expansion, crushed again by subduction, and reformed in endless cycles of destruction and renewal. To study it is to peer into the oldest part of Earth's mind, a memory that predates humanity by billions of years. And within that memory lie secrets we are only beginning to uncover. The boundaries between living and non-living blur. Minerals form patterns resembling cells. Fluids behave like living tissue. And deep within these impossible pressures, we glimpse what may be the origin of life itself, the moment when chemistry first became biology. Each discovery, each anomaly is a reminder that our world is far from ordinary. The deep sea does not follow the same rules as the surface. It creates its own logic, one written in darkness, silence, and time. So as we continue to explore, to probe deeper into the black unknown, we are not simply mapping terrain. We are mapping mystery. Every image captured, every anomaly recorded, every unexplained formation, they are all fragments of a greater story, one we are only beginning to hear. This is the edge of understanding, the frontier where science meets wonder, the place where awe and uncertainty intertwine. And in that space, somewhere between knowledge and the unknown, the deep sea waits, vast, ancient, and patient, holding secrets that may one day change everything we believe about life, about Earth, and perhaps even about ourselves, unveiling the impossible depths. The deeper we descend, the more the ocean transforms from water into something else entirely. The light above becomes memory. The surface, that bright and living world, fades until it feels like a forgotten dream. Down here, there is only vastness, an expanse so complete that it seems to swallow not just sound, but thought itself. The ocean's floor stretches before us like another planet. It is not the flat desert many imagined for centuries. It is rugged, uneven, filled with peaks and canyons, ridges and plains that extend beyond the reach of light. This is the true face of Earth, a landscape hidden beneath miles of crushing pressure. In recent years, our machines have finally caught up to our curiosity. The new generation of remotely operated vehicles glide silently through this darkness, their lights cutting narrow corridors through the void. They see what no human eye ever has. They capture images of the planet's forgotten anatomy, and through their cameras we witness Earth as if for the first time. High-resolution footage from these modern expeditions reveals formations so detailed that even scientists struggle to describe them. Basalt columns arranged with crystalline precision, layers of sediment draped like cloth over stone, valleys that stretch into infinity, illuminated for a brief moment before fading back into black. When the camera pans, textures emerge that defy comprehension, surfaces too smooth for randomness, patterns too consistent for chaos. Some resemble dunes, but they are made of rock, not sand. Others appear to be the frozen wake of vanished currents, as if the sea itself solidified mid-motion. And then there are the formations that seem impossibly deliberate. Rows of circular impressions, spiraling depressions, ridges that align in near-perfect symmetry. The mind resists accepting them as natural. They feel engineered, crafted, intentional. Yet no hand, human or otherwise, has ever reached this place. For those who study the deep, this kind of discovery is both thrilling and unsettling. Each anomaly challenges our sense of scale and origin. How can perfect geometry arise in a world of blind forces? How can shapes that echo design emerge without designer? The question lingers, unresolved, suspended in the quiet dark. Geologists studying these new recordings find themselves confronting contradictions. The laws of pressure, heat, and mineral behavior should explain everything, and yet they do not. At depths where rock behaves more like fluid, patterns emerge that mimic the growth of living organisms. Swirls, lines, and branches repeat themselves at both microscopic and monumental scales. Nature, it seems, has a sense of symmetry far deeper than we've imagined. Perhaps the most astonishing footage shows crystalline terraces forming along volcanic slopes. Layer upon layer of mineral deposition builds shapes that resemble steps, balconies, even walls. The structures gleam under the submersible lights, fragile yet unyielding. They seem alive in their stillness, like architecture built by time itself. Every frame is an encounter with something unknown. The seabed pulses faintly with heat, glowing faintly beneath mineral plumes. Gases rise from fissures, painting the water with ripples of silver. The silence is complete, broken only by the hum of machinery and the faint crackle of thermal vents. To the explorers watching through remote screens, it feels like staring into another dimension, a world older, stranger, and more deliberate than our own. And yet, this is not another world. It is our world. It is Earth revealing a face long hidden from our understanding. The most puzzling discovery comes from the deep plains of the Atlantic ridge, a vast region of underwater mountains that span the ocean floor like the spine of the planet. Here, ROVs have recorded patterns etched into the sediment that repeat with mathematical precision. Lines stretch for hundreds of meters, evenly spaced, forming what appear to be parallel tracks. To this day, their origin remains a mystery. Some suggest natural convection currents might carve these shapes. Others propose chemical reactions in the sediment, or even magnetic alignment of mineral grains under pressure. But each theory falters against the evidence. The patterns are too orderly, the repetition too consistent. Whatever created them seems to follow a rule we do not yet know. On another expedition, the camera captures a vast spiral formation carved into volcanic stone. It winds outward in near-perfect proportion, its lines etched deep and unbroken. Scientists measure the spiral and find ratios reminiscent of the golden mean, the same mathematical balance found in galaxies, hurricanes, and living shells. Is it coincidence or a universal pattern repeated at every scale of creation? The data cannot tell us. It only records what is there. It is up to us to interpret, and interpretation falters when imagination meets the unknown. Even the materials challenge expectation. Rocks appear porous when they should be solid. Minerals form filaments that twist together like veins. In some regions, glowing bacteria coat the landscape in an ethereal shimmer, feeding on chemicals from beneath the crust. The deep sea, once thought lifeless, teems with an invisible ecosystem that thrives without light, feeding directly on the energy of the earth. This discovery has transformed our understanding of life itself. For the first time, we see that biology does not need sunlight. It can feed on stone, on heat, on chemical reaction. Life in its purest form adapts to existence wherever energy can be found. And if life can flourish here in this silent abyss, then perhaps it can flourish anywhere, even beyond our planet. The ocean reminds us that boundaries are illusions. Between life and matter, between growth and erosion, between order and chaos, there is no clean divide. Everything here flows together in ways that defy our surface-born logic. What seems solid moves. What seems lifeless breathes. What seems alien is, in truth, deeply natural. With every new expedition, more mysteries emerge. Some footage shows walls of rippling texture resembling the inside of a massive shell. Others capture ridges that pulse with unseen current, their surface trembling as though resonating with the heartbeat of the planet. Nothing in textbooks prepares us for such sights. It is said that we have explored more of the surface of Mars than the bottom of our own oceans. That statement is no longer poetic exaggeration. It is fact. The deep sea remains our planet's greatest unknown, a frontier larger than all continents combined, filled with structures and processes that lie beyond our present understanding. Scientists working on these expeditions describe a recurring sensation, a strange blend of fear, humility, and exhilaration. They know that every meter they descend takes them farther from the familiar world of air and light, and closer to the core of something primeval. Each formation, each anomaly is like a whisper from the beginning of Earth's story. The ocean floor is not still. It shifts constantly, shaped by forces that operate over millennia. New crust forms as molten rock rises through cracks, cools, and spreads outward, slowly pushing continents apart. But within that process, hidden under immense pressure, subtle structures emerge, lines, rings, spirals, shapes written by movement itself. To watch the deep sea is to watch time sculpt reality. Every formation we see was centuries, even millennia, in the making. Every mineral grain, every line of sediment carries the memory of transformation. The footage that returns to us is more than just image. It is evidence of how alive our planet truly is. For all our progress, we remain at the edge of knowledge, staring into an abyss that continues to surprise us. What we see in these depths is more than geology. It is the architecture of the Earth's subconscious, a realm where matter organizes itself in ways we cannot yet comprehend. It is as if the planet, beneath its surface, dreams in patterns and symmetry. We are witnesses to those dreams. As the revolve drifts over a plain of black sand, the camera captures distant lights, flashes of movement, brief, elusive. They vanish as quickly as they appear. Are they creatures, reflections, or something else entirely? The instruments register nothing. The lights remain unverified, unexplained, unreal, yet undeniable. The explorers continue their mission, collecting samples, recording coordinates, tracing patterns. Each discovery deepens the mystery. For every answer found, a dozen more questions emerge. The more we learn, the less we can claim to know. Unveiling the impossible depths is not about solving the ocean. It is about realizing that some mysteries are not meant to be conquered, but understood slowly, layer by layer, in reverence rather than haste. The ocean's secrets are not puzzles to be cracked. They are reminders of scale, of time, of humility. We live on a world that hides most of itself from our eyes. Beneath every wave lies 1,000 unseen worlds, untouched, unmeasured, unexplored. The deep sea is not just the bottom of the earth, it is the beginning of understanding. And as long as we keep descending, the unknown will continue to unfold before us, vast and endless, waiting to be seen. Uncharted deep-sea anomalies, shock and awe. Prepare to have your mind blown. We are venturing into the most unexplored corners of Earth, the deep sea, to uncover phenomena so alien, they might as well be from another world. These aren't just strange creatures. These are anomalies that rewrite the rules of biology and physics, leaving scientists baffled and the world in awe. Beneath the shimmer of waves and the endless blue that meets the horizon lies a world entirely disconnected from sunlight, air, and time. Down there, pressure builds to levels that crush steel. Temperatures drop to near freezing, and yet life and motion persist. The abyss stretches endlessly, a landscape of silence and wonder. For centuries this place remained hidden, unseen, unknown, unimagined. But now, through the lens of remotely operated vehicles and the quiet hum of advanced deep-sea technology, we are witnessing what no human eyes have seen before. Each new expedition brings footage that challenges the very foundations of science. Perfect geometric lines etched across the seafloor, spiraling rock formations coiling like the DNA of the planet itself, fields of symmetrical holes appearing in rows so precise they look engineered. And no one, not geologists, not biologists, not oceanographers, can explain how or why they exist. Imagine the ocean floor not as a barren wasteland, but as an alien frontier, a world whose physics may subtly differ from our own. Minerals crystallize in impossible patterns. Sediment layers swirl like vast calligraphic designs. Fluids bubble upward through the crust, carving structures that mimic architecture. It's as if something or someone sculpted the deep for a purpose still hidden from us. We see thermal vents glowing faintly like stars in an underwater galaxy. Creatures drifting past, their translucent bodies illuminated in ghostly flashes. And everywhere, hints of order where there should only be chaos. These discoveries are not just expanding our knowledge. They are reshaping our sense of reality. The deep is whispering truths our instruments are only beginning to hear. The deeper we go, the stranger it becomes. Pressure warps the laws of matter. Time seems to move differently. The sounds of shifting tectonic plates echo through miles of liquid darkness. It's a world where the normal rules collapse, and the impossible becomes visible. The ocean, in its ancient wisdom, keeps its secrets, but sometimes, just sometimes, it allows us a glimpse. And when it does, we are forced to confront a humbling truth. We are explorers not of another planet, but of our own. Terra Incognita still exists, not above us, but below, unveiling the impossible depths. Imagine descending mile by mile into the black. Sunlight fades to nothing. The pressure builds, crushingly dense. The only light is artificial, the glow of ROV beams cutting through the gloom. And there, on the seafloor, something extraordinary emerges. Perfectly spaced holes arranged in straight lines, stretching into the darkness. Each one surrounded by small mounds of sediment, like a trail left by something intelligent, or something mechanical. These holes are not random. They follow a pattern, even spacing, precise alignment. At first glance they seem drilled, perhaps by human machinery. But no human has ever been there. No submersible has ever touched that spot before. They exist thousands of meters down, beyond the reach of sunlight, wind, or tide. Scientists have speculated endlessly. Some say these holes are the work of burrowing organisms, though none have been seen. Others claim they're caused by gas escaping the seafloor, yet the sediment shows no sign of disturbance beneath. A few suggest tectonic stress, microfractures caused by slow pressure shifts. And then there are those who simply admit we don't know. Then there are the spirals, vast, perfect curls of rock and sand, coiled like fossilized whirlpools frozen in time. They appear in places far apart, with no visible cause. These spirals mimic biological forms, yet they are not alive. They look intentional, symmetrical, carved. But by what? As ROVs drift across the terrain, cameras capture shapes and structures that feel designed. Not random, not chaotic, but purposeful. Lines, ridges, and pathways arranged with eerie precision. It's as though the ocean itself is following blueprints written by unknown forces. And this raises deeper questions. What if these formations are evidence of natural processes we've never encountered before? Processes that operate only at extreme pressure, in darkness, in a world we barely understand. The deep could be revealing an entirely new side of Earth's physics, patterns formed by conditions that exist nowhere else. Every dive brings new puzzles. A field of holes appears one month, gone the next. Spirals seem to grow, as if alive. Rocks crack open to reveal chambers lined with crystals glowing faintly under ultraviolet light. These aren't ordinary geological structures. They behave like living systems. It's easy to dismiss these things as coincidences or errors in perception. But when pattern after pattern repeats across continents and oceans, coincidence loses its power. Something extraordinary is happening in the deep. Something that hints at design without a designer, order without life, creation without intention. In these impossible depths, the ocean doesn't just challenge our instruments, it challenges our imagination. The abyss responds. The deeper the descent, the more the ocean reveals of itself, not through sight or sound, but through an unspoken presence. Down here in the blackness beyond light, it feels as if the earth itself is breathing. The pressure hums. The water vibrates. The seafloor moves in slow, deliberate rhythms, as if responding to something unseen. Our sensors capture tremors too subtle for earthquakes, pulses too consistent for chance. Instruments built for precision begin to fail. Readings loop in repeating patterns, and the data itself begins to echo. It is as if the abyss is not being observed, but observing us. The anomalies grow stranger the longer we watch. The perfectly spaced holes shift their arrangement ever so slightly between expeditions. Spirals appear where none existed before. Small ridges rise, forming new geometric shapes, as if sculpted overnight by invisible hands. The ROV returns to the same coordinates weeks later, and the terrain has changed. Not eroded, not damaged, altered. What kind of geological process behaves with intention? What force moves with such delicacy, as though aware of the gaze fixed upon it? We have seen thermal vents erupt and freeze, lava tubes collapse and reform, but never have we witnessed order emerge spontaneously from the void. Some researchers whisper about the deep's subtle intelligence, not of mind, but of motion. The idea that the Earth's crust may behave like a neural network, responding to stimuli, learning from pressure, shifting energy as if communicating through patterns. It sounds like poetry, but then so did plate tectonics when it was first proposed. Every anomaly recorded carries a resonance. The holes in perfect sequence echo sonar pings at matching intervals. The spirals reflect magnetic fluctuations, as though the rock itself is storing memory. And deeper still, below even the sensors, there lies silence so complete that it becomes sound, a deep, endless frequency that vibrates through the hull of every submersible, a heartbeat in the dark. We have begun to wonder if the ocean is not passive matter, but an active system, a living mechanism operating on geological timescales. Perhaps what we call anomalies are simply signals, responses from a vast organism made of stone, water, and pressure. Consider the way coral reefs build themselves, countless tiny organisms forming architecture that looks designed. Now imagine the same principle, not biological but planetary. The deep sea could be the same, not chaos but construction, not decay but design. The earth, after all, has memory. Minerals align with magnetic fields that change every few thousand years, preserving direction like inscriptions. Lava cools in layers, recording epics like pages in a book. The seafloor, unseen and unmeasured, could be the greatest archive in existence. Each spiral, each formation, a word in a language too vast for us to read. And then there is the movement, not just of water, but of time. Down here, time stretches. A minute at the surface feels eternal in the deep. Processes occur so slowly that they might appear still, yet over millennia they create precision. Just as wind carves canyons and rivers sculpt valleys, pressure and current sculpt the abyss. But there are moments, fleeting, recorded only once, when the deep seems to move too quickly. Ridges form and vanish within a year. Entire patches of the seafloor change texture, as if erased and rewritten. The footage shows sediment clouds forming without motion, light scattering with no visible cause. We call it anomaly, but maybe it's intention. Perhaps this is the ocean speaking in its own ancient dialect, one we are only beginning to decipher. It does not speak with sound or word, but with pattern, energy, and form. It does not shout. It whispers in a language of geometry and silence. And what if it is not only the earth that speaks? What if, through these patterns, the planet listens? What if the heat of our industries, the vibrations of our ships, the frequencies of our technology are felt in the deep, not as noise, but as intrusion? The ocean has always responded to imbalance. It absorbs, adapts, and evolves. What if the anomalies are its reaction, subtle corrections written into its fabric? Patterns formed not to confuse us, but to restore itself? In this view, the deep is not alien. It is homeostasis, the planet's own nervous system recalibrating under pressure. We once thought the deep was empty. Now we see that it is active, an ever-changing symphony of movement, too vast for a human lifetime to perceive. And when we compress that time, when we watch an accelerated footage, the seafloor looks alive. It bends, pulses, shifts like breathing flesh. The abyss responds, not in words, but in echoes of form. And we, the observers, are part of its equation. Every expedition changes the deep in small ways: light, noise, electromagnetic interference. The ocean watches, records, adjusts. The anomalies shift, patterns migrate. It is possible that what we observe as mystery is simply reflection, the deep showing us ourselves through the lens of geology. It humbles us, reminds us that discovery is not always about revelation. Sometimes it is about recognition that we are part of the same living structure we study. The same pulse that moves through the abyss beats within us. In the end, the ocean's greatest secret might not be what it hides, but what it mirrors, the vast, uncharted depths of our own understanding. And as the ROV drifts upward, its lights dimming, the spirals fade from view. The holes vanish into shadow. The hum quiets. But deep below, beneath rock and pressure, the ocean still moves, slow, patient, deliberate. It waits. It listens. And when we return, it will be ready to show us something new. The edge of understanding. We have always believed that discovery brings clarity, that the deeper we go, the more we understand. Yet here, at the edge of our instruments and our comprehension, we find the opposite. Each answer births another question. Each glimpse into the abyss expands the mystery. We thought the ocean floor was fixed, an ancient crust of stone and sediment lying undisturbed. But now we see motion where there should be stillness, patterns where there should be randomness, and design where only chance was expected. The deeper we descend, the less the ocean behaves like a landscape, and the more it feels like a mind. It does not move with chaos, but with rhythm. It does not resist observation. It reacts to it. Every reading, every sonar pulse, every trace of light we send down returns changed, as if filtered through an intelligence vast and indifferent. The abyss does not yield its truths. It reshapes them. And perhaps that is its purpose, to remind us that understanding has limits, that the earth we stand upon is not an object to be mastered, but a consciousness to be respected. The scientists who spend their lives studying these depths often describe a strange feeling, not fear, not awe, but reverence, the sense that they are not exploring, but trespassing, that the ocean, in all its immensity, has allowed us entry only to the threshold. Beyond that lies something else, something older than memory, deeper than time. We name it anomaly because we cannot yet name it truth. We call it phenomenon because we cannot yet call it pattern. But what if these mysteries are not exceptions to nature, but its purest expression? What if what we are witnessing is the true face of the earth, the part unshaped by human presence, untouched by design or destruction? Look at the spirals again. They are not random. They mirror the curls of galaxies, the whirls of fingerprints, the structure of hurricanes. The same shape repeated across scales from the infinite to the microscopic. A cosmic constant written into everything that moves and grows. The deep-sea spirals are not errors, they are echoes. The perfectly spaced holes, the pulsing ridges, the luminous patterns on the ocean floor, each seems to resonate with the same mathematical language we find in seashells, in pine cones, in spiral galaxies. It is as though the ocean is a mirror for the universe, reflecting its design in fluid and stone. And yet it remains alien. The temperature gradients, the chemical flows, the mineral exchanges, they create environments that challenge every model of life we know. Bacteria that feed on metals, worms that live without sunlight, crustaceans that see through heat, not light. Evolution here is not guided by warmth or comfort, but by endurance. Perhaps that is the deeper lesson. Life adapts not only to survive, but to understand. Every organism, from the smallest microbe to the largest whale, is an interpreter of the planet's code. Each one translates a fraction of the ocean's infinite script. And we, with all our technology, are still learning to read the first line. When we first sent cameras into the Mariana Trench, the deepest known point on Earth, we expected emptiness. Instead, we found motion, delicate, deliberate, continuous. Sediment swirling in ordered paths, chemical plumes forming perfect spirals, sounds that repeat at intervals too precise for coincidence. The abyss was not silent. It was structured. If the ocean has always been a metaphor for the unknown, then perhaps now it is more than that. Perhaps it is a threshold, not just a place we visit, but a boundary we cross between knowledge and mystery. Every time an ROV descends, it carries with it not only light but curiosity, and curiosity is a kind of disruption. It stirs the deep, triggers responses, alters the balance. We think we are studying the abyss, but the abyss is also studying us. Every echo that returns is data, but also reflection, a dialogue between surface and depth. And so a new kind of humility emerges, the realization that we are not conquerors of the deep, but participants in its endless creation. The deep is not a destination, it is a process. Every movement we make above ripples below. Every anomaly we discover is part of a vast conversation that began long before us and will continue long after. Imagine the planet not as a sphere of rock and water, but as a living organism, its oceans the bloodstream, its crust the bone, its atmosphere the breath. Then the anomalies are no longer puzzles, they are pulses, signs of a body thinking, feeling, remembering. It is easy to forget that everything alive has come from this darkness. Every atom and every living being once drifted through oceans like these, long before there was land, long before there was sky. To explore the deep is not to look outward, but inward, back to our origin. Perhaps that is why we feel so small here. Not because the ocean dwarfs us, but because it recognizes us. It sees what we have forgotten, that we are made of it, that the salt in our veins once belonged to its waves, that the rhythm of our hearts once matched its tides. At this edge of understanding, knowledge fades into wonder. Data gives way to silence, and silence, in its way, speaks the truth that no instrument can measure, that mystery is not the absence of knowledge, but the presence of infinity. The ocean has always been a teacher. It shows us the meaning of patience, the virtue of humility, the power of creation. It reminds us that life does not begin with light, but with depth. That discovery does not end with answers, but with awe. And when we finally look away, when the expedition ends and the lights go out, we realize that we have not mapped the ocean at all. We have only mapped the outline of our own ignorance. The edge of understanding is not a line to cross. It is a horizon to respect. Beyond it lies the rest of the world, vast, waiting, alive. And somewhere in that endless dark, the earth is still dreaming. The deeper we have gone, the clearer it becomes that the ocean does not reveal its secrets. It reveals our limits. We came seeking answers, but what we found was reflection, the realization that discovery is not about control, but connection. Every probe, every lens, every descent is a question whispered into an ancient consciousness, and somewhere in the dark the planet answers. It answers in motion, in spirals of rock that form and fade, in rhythmic pulses of current that mirror the cadence of our own breath. It answers in silence, a silence so vast it swallows thought, leaving only awareness. And through that awareness we begin to see the truth that has always been before us. The ocean is not a mystery to be solved, but a presence to be acknowledged. In the deep, the laws of time dissolve. Moments stretch into centuries. A single grain of sand can drift for millennia before settling. Here, patience is the only form of progress. Nothing hurries, nothing wastes. The abyss teaches us that creation is not a spark, but a slow, continuous unfolding. Life down here does not conquer. It endures. It listens. It adapts. Above, the world moves too fast. We build, consume, discard. We measure time in beats and flashes. But below, in the ancient stillness, existence moves to a rhythm older than memory. The earth keeps its own time, and we are only visitors. Every expedition ends the same way, the ascent, the slow retreat toward light. The ROV rises, cameras trailing the last glimmer of the seafloor as it fades from view. For hours, nothing changes. Blackness, silence, the faint hum of machinery climbing back toward the living world. Yet within that void, something stirs, a feeling impossible to name. It is not relief, not fear, but a quiet recognition that we have been in the presence of something greater than ourselves. When the submersible breaks the surface, the first rush of air feels unreal. The sunlight too bright, the waves too loud. After hours of darkness, the world above seems shallow, comforting, but smaller. We look back across the water and know that beneath this calm, an entire universe still waits. The footage is reviewed, the data examined, the patterns debated. Every image brings both revelation and confusion. Some see biology, others geology. Some see coincidence, others purpose. The debates will continue, theories will rise and fall, but one truth endures: the deep is alive in ways we do not yet understand. And perhaps that is enough. Not every mystery must be solved to be sacred. Some exist to remind us that curiosity is a kind of reverence, that to question the unknown is to pay homage to it. Think of what the ocean has shown us. Perfect sequences of holes carved into the crust of the planet with impossible precision. Spirals that mirror galaxies. Formations that move and evolve like thought made solid. These are not just discoveries. They are invitations. The ocean is not hiding. It is calling, asking us to look, to listen, to remember. Because the story of the sea is the story of everything. It is where life began, where time was born, where the earth first learned to breathe. The deep remembers what the surface forgets. It carries within it the memory of creation, the echoes of origins older than light. One day, perhaps, we will understand. Our instruments will improve, our patience will deepen, and our questions will grow wiser. But even then, mystery will remain, because mystery is not the absence of knowledge. It is the soul of it. Without mystery, curiosity dies. Without curiosity, discovery ends. And so the ocean continues, still forming, still whispering, still rewriting the boundaries of what we call real. It does not need us to see it, but it allows us to. It invites us to witness its eternal conversation with itself, the dialogue between pressure and motion, between silence and form. We call this place the deep sea, but perhaps that name is too small. It is not simply the bottom of the world. It is the foundation of it, the oldest memory of the planet, still dreaming beneath the noise of the surface. In the end, we do not conquer the deep. We return from it changed. The ocean does not reveal its secrets for our sake. It reveals them because it must. It is the language of creation speaking itself into existence again and again through time and tide. We listen, we learn, we wonder, and then we ascend. The lights fade, the hum quiets, the screen turns black. But beneath that blackness, the story continues, always moving, always becoming. This is not the end of exploration. It is only the beginning of understanding. Because the deep is not something we visit. It is something we belong to. And in its silence it reminds us we are part of the same mystery we seek to understand. This has been Terra Incognita, Uncharted Deep Sea Anomalies. And somewhere in the endless dark below, the earth still dreams. The descent continues. If you've stayed with us through the depths, through silence and shadow, then you've already become part of this journey. The ocean's story is not told in full. It unfolds slowly, quietly, like the turning of the earth itself. Every watch, every question, every moment of wonder keeps that story alive. The mysteries we've explored tonight are not endings. They are beginnings. The deep is still speaking, and together we'll keep listening. If this voyage has moved you, if it's awakened that spark of curiosity within, then let it guide you deeper. Like, share, and subscribe, not for the numbers, but for the knowledge. Each click sends another light into the dark, another mind into the unknown. Join us again as we journey further, beyond what is known, into what is waiting. Because discovery doesn't stop at the surface. It begins beneath it. This is Terra Incognita, and the descent continues. If you enjoyed watching this, help us grow by subscribing to our channel and clicking on the like button.